My story is a cautionary tale of greed, and perhaps of being too quick to trust people who may not have your best interests at heart. My older sister Kathy and I were bitter rivals during our childhood, as many siblings often are. When we were growing up, we would often play against each other in sports, and she, being the older by almost 2 years, would win sometimes, maybe even more often than not. When this would happen, she would torment me endlessly all day about how I got beat by a girl. Usually when younger brothers grow into their teen years, they find themselves growing stronger. Eventually, they would be so much the physical superiors of their sisters that the athletic pecking order would sort itself out. I was not so lucky. I never really grew beyond 5 feet 4 inches, a full 5 inches shorter than Kathy, and I never really got measurably stronger than her. All the way through high school, we would constantly be arm wrestling, fighting, and playing sports, desperately trying to best each other like two rival brothers. When she went away to design school, I finally was out from under her thumb, and mostly enjoyed my final years of high school. I made sure I went to college in a completely different town from her, where I studied computers. I was so thrilled when I got a job right out of college as a marketing webmaster for a small .com startup. Unfortunately, it was only months before the big tech market crash, and as a new person, I was one of the first to be laid off. As unemployment payments ran out, so did my options. My parents had retired early and moved to a tiny beach house in Mexico, and had no room for me. Most of my old college buddies were moving back in with their parents, themselves. It seemed like everybody I knew was out of work. In the end, I had no choice but to call Kathy and ask her to take me in for a while. She actually seemed happy to see me, in spite of our troublesome past. She had put on quite a bit of weight since I had last seen her 7 years ago, but it was obviously still the same old Kathy. She set up her spare bedroom for me, which was already furnished, complete with a nice big queen-sized bed and lots of cabinet and closet space. The room looked a little girly, but it was much more comfortable than my old dorm, and certainly better than the Salvation Army shelter, so I was certainly not complaining. Since graduating from design school, she had become fairly successful as a formal gown designer, and had her own small custom dress store downtown. The walk-in closet of my bedroom was almost completely filled with various seasonal gowns she was storing until next April. Fortunately, I did not have a lot of clothes of my own, so what space was left suited me fine. I had been living there for 3 months, still completely unable to find any kind of suitable work, when Kathy came to me with a suggestion. "Why don't you come work for me?" "In a dress store?" I asked. Even if I wanted to do that sort of work, I don't think I'd be very good as a dress salesman. "And even if I was, I doubt you could pay me anything like I am used to making as a web guru." "It's nice of you to offer, but I think I will keep checking the job listings on the internet." She persisted. "Actually, I had something else in mind for you. My designs have started to gain some international attention, and some large investors have made me an offer to back me if I want to take my store online." "Oh. Well, now you're talking," I interrupted. "I could build a great e-commerce site for you. However, I don't know if a small site for selling your dresses would keep me busy for very long. In fact, I might even be willing to set it up for free for you. After all, you've been letting me live here rent-free until I can find work. It's the least I could do." "Well, that would be sweet of you, but you didn't let me finish. You see, in order to sell my gowns on the web, I need somebody to model them. My investor group is insisting on absolute secrecy until the site goes up, though, so I can't just go out and hire a professional model who might talk about my plans around other people in the industry. I would model them myself, but I really don't look very good in my own dresses anymore, not since my thyroid problems made me gain all this weight." "So, you want me to find a model you can trust?" "No, Kevin, I need you to be the model I can trust." It took a moment for me to absorb what she meant by that. "You want me to model gowns on the internet?" Yeah. But why would seeing a guy in one of your dresses make anybody want to buy them?" "Kevin, I gotta be blunt here. You may be a guy, but you have a very female frame. With some strategic padding and makeup, and I bet you would make a stunning girl." In one quick breath she spat out, "Now before you say no, hear me out." I didn't interrupt. I was still stunned by her pronouncement that I looked so feminine. "I've been given a budget to pay a model well. Very well. So well, in fact, that even after the money I spend making you look the part, I can still offer you about $900 a picture, and I've got over 100 gowns I need photographed before the site even goes up. Do the math for a second, and I'm sure you will agree it would be worth it." She was right. That's more money than I ever could have made designing websites, but I was still a little skeptical. "Are you sure you could make me look convincing enough? I would hate to think anybody that knows me might see the pictures and recognize me." "I'll tell you what. Let's make you over and see the results. If it's not good enough, I will just have to think of something else." It was tough to argue with that. Over the next 2 hours, she went to work on me. She started by untying my long rebellious ponytail, insisting that she change the color before styling it. Once the hair was done, on went the makeup. Then, before I could even react to what she was up to, she quickly pierced my ears and started shaping my eyebrows. In spite of my reservations, it was actually kind of fun, like putting on a Halloween costume. Once I saw myself in the mirror, with my hair done up and with some jewelry Kathy chose for me, I had to hand it to her. I looked very much like a girl. It was actually very amusing, even if the joke was at my own expense. "I don't know," she mused, "you look like a girl, but I'm not sure that people who know you wouldn't see through it. It's the nose, you see. It still looks a little too much like you. Also, your chest is so flat that I don't think a padded bra is going to be a very good illusion." I could feel all that money slipping away. There must be something we can do. I was just beginning to think that this could work. "Let me make a couple calls," she said. "We might still be able to pull this off." A few hours later, a contact of hers named Serena came by. She took a careful look at me and explained that she could help, but it would not be cheap. Once Kathy assured her that we had plenty of money coming in, she explained. "Kevin, the only way to do this is with some minor cosmetic surgery. We are going to reshape your face, just a little, and give you some false breasts. The breasts will be small enough that you should be able to hide them by taping them down when you are not working, and everything we do will be 100% reversible." What do you say? I couldn't take my mind off all that easy money, just for standing around in front of a camera. The idea of getting breast implants was kind of creepy, but I agreed on the spot. 6 weeks later, when the bruises had healed and the bandages came off, Kathy and Serena made me up again and faced me to the mirror, where I saw a somewhat different image. I can hardly believe that this is really my face that I'm looking at. I had the small, nagging feeling that I wouldn't look like much of a guy when I wasn't working, but there would not be a lot of that sort of time. The sooner we got the photos done, the sooner I could get paid and have the surgery reversed. Kathy had taken a minor in photography in design college, so with a little more investor money we set up a small studio in the basement. I got dressed up, and we went to work. The first gown I posed in was a big pink prom dress. I felt very shy during the shoot, and she went through a lot of film before she really got what she wanted out of me. Having Serena there during the first day of shooting didn't really help, so after lunch she said goodbye and I loosened up a little while posing for a couple more gowns. The photos came out fairly well, although it was easy to see that I was very nervous most of the time. Late that evening, Kathy and I ate a light dinner and talked about our shooting schedule for the next few weeks. We decided together that a 12-hour workday was as much as we could handle, and would probably allow us to complete the web catalog in less than 2 months. As we ate and talked, I suddenly realized that I was still sitting there in the last gown that I had been modeling, a cute red sheath dress. I was so zoned into the work that it had never occurred to me to change into my old clothes. When I mentioned this to Kathy, we both had a good laugh. That night, after I changed into an old t-shirt and boxers to go to sleep, Kathy showed me how to set a hairnet so we would not need to spend as much time fixing my hair the next morning. The next day, I was beginning to feel a bit more comfortable with these feminine trappings, but I still tensed up a little whenever Kathy gave me instructions about posing. Standing in girly positions just felt so strange that I would get nervous and edgy. Sensing this, Kathy suggesting we try a little role-playing. I was to imagine that I was somebody else. She gave my new alter ego a name, Tara. Tara was a sophisticated young lady who loves to get dolled up and be the center of attention. Sometimes Tara is demure and alluring, sometimes a little more spunky. The trick seemed to work. From then on, when instructing me during our photo sessions, she talked to me as if I was Tara, frequently praising me for how pretty I was, or how sexy I made one of her gowns look. As Tara, I beamed with pride when she made these comments, and it showed on the pictures. In fact, we even went back and reshot one of the outfits from the day before, with much better results. That evening, during a brief break in shooting, we decided to order pizza. Kathy pointed out that I could not be seen in one of her gowns, even by the pizza delivery guy, because her designs were still considered an industry secret and she did not want to risk losing her investors. I couldn't really just throw my guy stuff on either, because taking all the makeup off, taping down my breasts, and then redoing all of it afterwards would cost us far too much time. The idea of running and hiding every time another human being was coming to our door did not really appeal to me either. Kathy had the solution, though. She pulled some of her old clothes from high school out of the back of her closet, and told me I could use whatever I like whenever the need arose. By the third day, I was really starting to get into the spirit of playing Tara for the camera. Thinking and behaving like the young debutante was beginning to become second nature to me. This was the most fun I've had making money in a long time. Wow, Tara, this is the prettiest you have looked yet. These pictures are going to be great, doll. I basked in her compliments and smiled. Not only was I having fun, but I was thinking about what car I would buy with all the money I would be getting when Kathy's business went online. That afternoon, however, the rug was pulled out from under us both. The investor group that was backing Kathy's new venture went bankrupt. Which not only meant that I wasn't ever going to see all that money, but we still owed Serena thousands for my surgery. How was I going to pay for the surgery to get all these changes reversed, when I didn't even have the money to pay for the first time? Looks like I might be stuck playing Tara for quite a while. Playing Tara, Part 2 stuck. I can't believe it. I spent thousands of dollars having my face and body altered to look like a cute girl, although the change was not as dramatic as I would have liked to have expected, so I could fill this big money model contract for my sister's company, and now her investors are gone, along with any hope of paying for my surgery anytime soon, which means it could be years before I can look like my old, male self again. I stood in Kathy's studio in shock, looking at a reflection that I was obviously going to have to get used to. I'm really sorry about all this, Kevin. I had no idea anything like this would happen. Sighing, I reassured her, Well, I can't really blame you entirely, sis. I'm the one who's been hit by the market crash before. I'm the one who should have known better. If I was thinking, I would have insisted on getting paid up front, but all I could think about was how I was going to be rich. I feel so stupid. Kathy did her best to comfort me. Why don't you go upstairs and change, and we'll rent a movie and mope over some comfort food tonight? We can think about how we are going to deal with this situation in the morning. I went up to my room and tried to dig out some of my old clothes, but nothing really fit comfortably over my girlish frame. Sighing to myself that I'm just going to have to get used to being Tara for the foreseeable future, I pulled out one of my sister's old denim skirts and a Hello Kitty t-shirt and headed to the living room. Kathy didn't even notice that I was still in girls' clothes. Why should she? She had been seeing me in drag pretty much non-stop for weeks now. She made a couple root beer floats for us, and we sat around watching some Emma Thompson period drama while I gradually fell asleep on the couch. I was awakened up to the sound of Kathy making breakfast. Have you thought about what you're going to do now? She asked. I don't know. I guess I'll need to find a regular job and start saving up to pay off Serena and get the surgery reversed somehow. Right. But are you going to try to get a job as Kevin or as Tara? In spite of what Serena was saying about your breasts being small enough to disguise, which I really don't believe anymore, I'm pretty sure that you will look like a girl no matter what we do, so you can't apply for a job as Kevin James and expect to be taken seriously. Great. So not only do I need to look like a girl, I will need to apply for jobs as one, too? Well, hun, I don't think that would work either. Unless you were to legally change your name to Tara James, you can't apply for jobs under your new name either. My new name? Not my girl name or my alter ego. I shook it off, just an easy slip of the tongue on Kathy's part. Probably. Well, there's no way I'm doing that. Even if I change it back later, it would always be part of my permanent tax record as a previous alias. I was beginning to feel desperate and trapped. I may have another solution, one that might help us both. I could try to open my online business without all that venture capital, just on a smaller scale. You could build the website and keep modeling my gowns in exchange for a small non-voting ownership share of my new company. That way, if it succeeds, you might actually end up better off in the long run than you would have been before. Also, I can give you a stock boy job at my store so you can have a little spending money until the profits come in. Nobody needs to know that the girl working at my shop is a boy, and if I pay you in cash I can keep it all off the books. What do you say? I knew her suggestion wasn't nearly as simple as she made it sound, and I wasn't sure which I dreaded more, continuing to be a female model with only the slim chance of it paying anything, or working in Kathy's shop, selling prom dresses and bridesmaid gowns all day. As bad as it was looking, it was the best option I could really think of, so I took her offer on the spot. By that evening, we were back in the studio, shooting again. When we first lost the investors, I was alarmed and horrified. Now that we had a plan of action, and it involved me playing Tara for a long time to come, I was just flat out depressed. The fun had gone out of this little game. My spine ran cold as Kathy complimented my look. You are dazzling in that dress, Tara. Turn your chin just a little more, gorgeous. You look cute as hell. I thought of telling her to knock it off, but she was just trying to get good work out of me, so I put up with it. I wanted to cry. I nearly did while I was changing into my next dress, but I pulled myself together. I can do this, I reminded myself. If this is what it takes to get my life back to normal, I can handle standing in front of a camera looking pretty for a few hours a day. It's not like I've got a lot of options. Come on, Tara, tough it out. I can do this. Reminding myself to let go and think like Tara, I got through the rest of the night a little more smoothly. I even smiled a little when Kathy exclaimed what a lovely sight I was in pink. At the end of the night, I sat up late in front of my computer wearing a silky nightgown, scanning all the beautiful pictures for the website. The next morning I put on my makeup and a casual sundress, tied my hair up into a ponytail, and rode with my sister to her shop downtown. It wasn't really as bad as I had expected. Everybody just took me for granted as Tara, Kathy's new assistant. Late that afternoon, Kathy came back for lunch with a big smile on her face. Good news, Tara. I decided to show some of our photos from the basement studio to a couple modeling agents I know, and one of them was really impressed. And why is that good news, exactly? I asked. Well, duh. He might be able to find you some work as a model, so you can raise the money for your. She paused, realizing that there were customers in the store, and chose her words a little more carefully, the money you need, a lot faster. I felt a slight shudder at the thought of posing for somebody else, for some reason. But won't it cause a problem if I apply for work as a model under my, old name? I asked him about that, and he says that lots of models work under stage names, so you could too. He wants to come by tonight to watch you work. There went that shudder again at the base of my spine, but there was no denying that I wanted to make money faster to get out of this situation. During the shoot, I was more self-conscious than ever. Having Dave, the modeling agent, watching me pose was perhaps the most scary thing I had done yet. Think like Tara, I was silently thought to myself, I'm Tara, and I'm a pretty girl who enjoys all this attention. Think like Tara. No matter what I said to myself, I was still a bag of nerves, and it showed. I could feel my shot at this job, and with it any hope of getting my life back, slipping away, but I just couldn't get comfortable acting feminine and graceful with that guy in the room, watching me. As I was changing into the next outfit, I could overhear Kathy assuring David that I'm usually a lot more relaxed in front of the camera, but so far I had only posed for her, so having somebody else there was making me nervous. He believed her story, because he had seen some of my better pictures, but was worried that if I couldn't get past this phobia, I might not be of much use to his clients. By sheer force of will, I forced myself to get over my anxiety. When I stepped back out of the changing room, I was Tara. I gave confident looks, shy looks, lustful looks, aloof looks, anything Kathy asked for. I flirted with the camera shamelessly. I looked stunning, and I knew it. For the next several gowns, David sat silently, staring at me in wonder. I don't think I ever felt so sure of myself before, as either Kevin or Tara. I was sure that I was a lock to get a contract as David's newest rising star. We worked fast for the next 2 hours, getting several good poses for every dress I tried on. I forgot all about my early inhibitions and just released myself into the role of Tara. It was sort of liberating, in a way. Later, as I was posing in the last dress for the night, David leaned over and whispered something to Kathy. She softly said something back to him. I strained to make out the words of the conversation. She certainly is, Kathy, he said, tell me. Is she single? Oh no, I thought, this can't be good. I don't think she's seeing anybody at the moment. Would you like me to fix you up with her? Kathy replied. Then a little louder to me, turn your left shoulder back just a little, Tara, that's it. Beautiful. Give me a call tomorrow, and let me know if she's free on Friday evening. I could not believe what I was hearing. I waited until David was gone before I confronted Kathy about what had just happened. How could you do that? I wanted to work for that guy, not date him. Wait, you don't understand, Kathy quickly responded. These agent guys, they always date the models they want to hire. It's part of the business. Don't worry, it won't be that big of a deal. I dated him myself a few years ago, and he's always a perfect gentleman. He probably won't even kiss you. I think I'm going to be sick. Come on, Tara. It's just one evening. No. I'm not going to do it. Suddenly, Kathy's demeanor changed. Now you listen to me, Tara. I brought this guy over as a favor to you, not to mention how I've been putting you up in my home all this time, how I've gone out of my way to help you get back on your feet. If this is how you are going to thank me, you better start looking for a new place to live, because the free ride is over, Missy. I recognized that tone of voice. She sounded just like she used to when we would argue as teens. I swallowed hard. Well, what's it going to be, Tara? Are you going to go out on this one date for the sake of your only hope of a career, a future, and ever looking like a boy again, or are you going to go apartment hunting tomorrow with nothing but the clothes I decide I'm willing to give you? I knew I was defeated. Okay. I'll go on this one date, just to get the job. But he had better hire me after this, because if I go through all that for nothing, I will be steamed. Her mood softened immediately. All right, then. Sorry to be so hard on you like that, sis, but I just can't stand the thought of you messing up your best chance of getting on your feet again, just because you're a little squeamish about letting a guy buy you dinner. That week, I managed to get Kathy's website up and running, complete with all the pictures of me that we had taken since my transformation. Looking at all those pictures again, I was amazed to think that the pretty blonde girl I was gazing at was really me. On Friday evening, I was dressed to the nines in one of Kathy's recent creations, heading down the stairs to greet David at the door when Kathy wished me luck from the top of the stairs. You're a total fox tonight, Tara. Have fun now, and don't worry. I know this guy, and I promise he will keep his distance and be respectful. Oh, and I put your makeup in your purse, along with some personal items, she said with a wink, just in case. Very funny, I thought to myself. As if I'm not nervous enough, she thinks it's amusing to have me walking around with condoms in my purse all night. Damn, her jokes can be subtly cruel sometimes. True to Kathy's word, David minded his manners all night. We ate at a very fancy restaurant, and then he took me to a charity ball, where we danced a few times, but mostly he showed off his new discovery to various magazine editors, designers, and talent scouts. Knowing I had to keep up the act, I once again let myself get absorbed into playing Tara. I was sweet and cheerful, and even flirted a little, both with David and with some of the people he introduced me to. For a few brief moments, I almost forgot that I wasn't really a girl. At the end of the night, David walked me back to the house, and just before I opened the door, he leaned in to kiss me goodnight. At that moment, I decided it would be fun to play a prank of my own. After all, if David was going to be paying me, he would have to find out that Tara was really Kevin sooner or later. I waited for him to get closer. Just as his lips touched mine, I leaned my head back a little and whispered, by the way. I'm not really a girl. I'm a man, and before he had a chance to react, I quickly clamped my lips to his, wrapped my arms around his head, and kissed him aggressively for as long as I dared, laughing to myself at the shock he must be feeling as he absorbed the information I just gave him. When he finally drew his mouth away, he quietly said, I know. Kathy told me when she set up the date, and went right back to kissing me as my eyes shot wide open. Stunned, all I could get out was, good night, before fleeing back into the house. Inside, Kathy was waiting up. From the smudge across your face, I take it the date went well, huh, Tara? I couldn't even respond. Well, I have some more good news, sis. You have a new place to stay. When I talked to David on the phone earlier this week, said that if you two hit it off tonight, he would like you to move in with him. You better take his offer, because you won't be staying here anymore, and there's nowhere else for you to go. Even Mom and Dad, down in their little retirement palace, want nothing to do with you after seeing all the pictures of you I've been sending them. I'm afraid that you have no choice but to move in with your new boyfriend. But I'm a man. He knows I'm a man. Wait a minute. Are you saying that you knew he was gay all along? Of course. That's why he never made any moves on me the one time I dated him. Most men in your new line of work are a little gay, Tara. David likes to keep a girl on his arm at social gatherings and around his house when company comes to keep up appearances. However, he gets tired of the company of real girls after a while, so he wanted a transformed boy for his new showgirlfriend. By having you around, his more conservative business contacts will assume he's just another heterosexual man. I could feel my stomach turn. Why are you doing this to me? Don't you get it, Tara? There never were any investors. Nobody want to buy into a new .com sales site anymore. If I want to take my shop global, I need money fast for advertising and promotions. Even after I give Serena her cut, my finder's fee for creating you should be plenty to get up and running with, especially since all my gowns have now been modeled for free. I can't believe you're betraying me like this. I trusted you. Oh, don't fret, little sister. You can still keep your part-time job at my store. David doesn't pay his girls very much, so you will probably need the extra income to keep yourself pretty for him. The next morning, as Kathy carried my suitcases, filled with girlish clothes, to the cab which was waiting to take me to David's apartment, I stood in front of the studio mirror downstairs, pondering my fate. I don't know how I'm going to get back to being Kevin James again, but I do know that it's not likely to be anytime soon.